I had always enjoyed attending my husband Jason's family gatherings. They were loud, boisterous, and full of laughter. The kind of chaotic energy that made every barbecue or holiday feel like a small festival. So when he told me his family was hosting a weekend barbecue, I was excited to attend, ready to share in the food, conversation, and fun. What I didn't anticipate was the comment that would leave me reeling for hours, shaking, and questioning my place in his family. The backyard was alive with the smell of grilled meats, laughter ringing out across the lawn, and children running barefoot through the grass. My husband moved through the crowd effortlessly, greeting cousins, aunts, and uncles, while I tried to mingle as well, smiling politely and joining conversations where I could. All seemed normal, until his sister, Melissa, approached me with that familiar, sly smirk I had learned to recognize over the years. "You know," she began, casually, "if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would really—" She trailed off, laughing as if delivering a harmless joke, but her tone was sharp, cutting, and I felt my stomach drop. The laughter of a few nearby relatives made it sound like a punchline, but the words sank into my chest like a knife. I froze, unsure if I had heard correctly. "Excuse me?" I asked, my voice steady despite the shock. Melissa waved a hand dismissively, as though brushing off my reaction. "Oh, you know," she said lightly, "I'm just joking. Don't take it so seriously." But it wasn't a joke. It couldn't have been. There was a subtle cruelty in her eyes, a hidden satisfaction that she had managed to unsettle me. The remark implied exclusion, irrelevance, and unworthiness, feelings that hit deeper than I cared to admit. I realized, in that moment, that despite my years of marriage to Jason, despite the effort I had put into building relationships with his family, there were still boundaries, biases, and resentments I had not breached. I moved away from her, pretending to be interested in a conversation with Jason's cousin, but my mind was racing. How could someone say something like that, and then dismiss it with a laugh? Did she actually believe it? Or was it a test? A way to assert power, to remind me of my place in the family hierarchy. Jason noticed my silence and concern, approaching me gently. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice low, full of genuine care. I shook my head subtly, trying to collect my composure. "Melissa made a comment," I said quietly. "Something about, if I disappeared tomorrow, no one would—" I trailed off, unable to articulate the sting in words. Jason's face darkened. He looked over at his sister, who was still smirking and chatting with a group of relatives, clearly unaware, or uncaring, that her comment had landed like a bomb. He took my hand, squeezing it gently. "Don't worry about her," he said firmly. "You know I'd never think that, and neither would anyone who truly matters. Let's just enjoy the day." Even with his reassurance, the comment lingered in my mind. It haunted my thoughts as I moved through the barbecue, laughing when expected, nodding politely at jokes, and maintaining composure while the sting of Melissa's words throbbed beneath the surface. I realized that some family dynamics are complex, and inclusion isn't always as straightforward as love or marriage might suggest. By mid-afternoon, I decided to reclaim my power subtly. I engaged with his cousins, shared stories, and even offered to help with organizing a small game for the children. My presence became a source of energy rather than tension. People responded to my warmth and humor, and slowly, the invisible shadow Melissa had cast began to dissipate. I realized then that true influence in social settings doesn't come from verbal jabs or attempts to exclude. It comes from how you carry yourself, the way you interact, and the quiet authority of confidence. Later, as Jason and I sat together, enjoying a brief moment of quiet away from the chaos, I shared my feelings. "It's hard," I admitted. "I want to belong here, but sometimes comments like that make me feel invisible, like I'm not part of the family." He nodded, understanding. "I get it," he said. "Melissa can be sharp, but I want you to know, you are part of this family. You're not invisible." Don't let her words define your worth or your place. That evening, as the barbecue wound down and guests began to leave, I reflected on the day. Melissa's comment, while shocking and hurtful, had inadvertently reminded me of something important. Inclusion and respect are earned and reinforced by consistent behavior, kindness, and self-confidence, not by anyone else's attempt to diminish you. By maintaining composure, engaging genuinely, and asserting myself subtly, I had navigated the social minefield of the day. I had turned a moment meant to unsettle me into an opportunity to demonstrate grace, patience, and resilience. Melissa may have tried to undermine my place in the family, but in the end, I had proven through actions rather than words that I belonged, that I mattered, and that my presence contributed meaningfully to the gathering. Walking back to the car that night, hand in hand with Jason, I felt a renewed sense of self-assurance. Family dynamics are complicated, I realized, but they need not define our value or our confidence. Melissa's smirk, once a symbol of exclusion, became a marker of the challenges we face in navigating relationships and asserting our place in social hierarchies. In the days that followed, the memory of the comment lingered, but its sting diminished. I chose to focus on the positive connections I had built, the laughter shared, and the quiet triumph of maintaining composure under pressure. The day at the barbecue became not a story of humiliation, but a lesson in resilience, dignity, and the subtle power of presence. By the next family gathering, I noticed a shift. Some relatives who had previously overlooked me now included me in conversations and activities. I realized that respect is not given lightly, especially in families with complex dynamics. But it can be earned, often through patience, kindness, and quiet confidence in the face of subtle challenges. The barbecue, once a source of shock and discomfort, had transformed into a turning point. I had faced exclusion and verbal cruelty, yet I emerged not diminished, but strengthened. Melissa's words, meant to undermine me, became a catalyst for self-assurance and personal growth. I left the event with my head held high, knowing that while family can sometimes hurt, our response to it defines our character, our strength, and our place within it.